Morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela, and I have got questions for you. What opens with Mr. Jeffy? We picking up where we left off with Mr. Jeffy just totally unwilling to go into the precipice of the unknown precipice, the virtual precipice of giving up his phone. And what closes with Mr. Jeffy just jumping off into the literal precipice. If you guessed Married at First Sight, Season 6, Episode 11, hey, welcome on the chat. Planning for the future, you're correct. Thank you so much for clicking on the video or joining live and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. And I know how y'all are about Married at First Sight, so let's go. I know it's dark, y'all, but we gonna keep it moving. So it's 3 weeks until decision day. That means these people been knowing each other for 5 weeks, and they've been married for 5 weeks, and they got a few weeks to make their decision. So we're picking up with Jeffy. He's leaving. We see Shawnice, and she's saying that she's basically over it. She is not chasing after anyone. We see him in his car. I think he's outside of their house, and he's calling his marriage mentor. You remember his friend who they went on a double date with, who's married. He calling him, and he telling his friend, I feel like, she don't have my back. Jeffy is saying, I feel like Shawnice don't have my back. And his friend is like, well, did you talk to her? Did you use your communication skills? Did you use your voice? And Jeffy is like, no. And man is like, no, bro. Like, it's like you're not even trying. You got to talk to your wife. You got to communicate with the woman. So, next thing we see is Pastor Cal. He says that it's time. Hi, thank you for the thumbs up. Yappa, yappa. I'm going to have to catch up with notes on the newsfeed tomorrow. It's just a crazy week in the middle of this month. That's a lot going on. We see Pastor Cal, our Pastor Cal, and he says, it's time to start making plans for the future. If you don't have a destination, then you're going to end up going nowhere. So, he wants these couples to start making some goals for their relationships and all of that. So Pastor Cal, so then we're visiting with Molly and John, and they are both crossed away from each other. I noticed how they were sitting, like, crossed away from each other, and they had their wrists covered up, like both of them had their hands looped around the thigh that was crossed away from their spouse. And then, but their wrists were covered up. I'm like, look at that body language. It's something close going on with them, and not just her with JJ. I just mean, in terms of their relationship, it's some closed off stuff to me. They are, at some point, it's just Molly and Calvin, and he's asking her about chemistry, and Molly is like, well, the chemistry can go, and Pastor Calvin is like, you need to take responsibility for showing your husband that you value him. Don't just be waiting for inspiration. Hey, Rowdy Chica, don't just be waiting for inspiration, this chemistry, this magic to just appear out of nowhere. Let your man know that, you here for him, because, he don't really, So, and after the experiment, you will have a marriage if you go on and invest in what you're doing. So, would be a huge relief if I could get, she said it would be a huge relief for her if she could get the physical to catch up with where she is, like mentally. I don't know if she's there emotionally, but I think in her mind she really can see, okay, this could be a good match. But it's just, so we find out that Shawnice has received 2 roses from Jeffy. Now remember, he started off with 1 rose, and he let her know at the beginning of the marriage, every time he mess up, she gonna get another rose. Miss Shawnice, I kind of like that they have their little personal, system of communication about what's going on, and they little personal language. But Shawnice is kind of like, the flowers are not enough. It's not really cute to me. He needs to talk to me. If maybe it may be hard for you. Hey, I caught you live again, about to view you in the closet, so don't have to share my phone at work. Look, I feel like I'm in the closet too. It's so dark. But talk to me. Oh, so she said, it's the flowers are cool or not cool, I don't really care, but what I really want is for you to talk to me, to communicate with me, to let me know what's going on. It may be hard for you. I know it's hard for you. I understand that it's hard for you, Mr. Jeffy, but it's hard for me too. Like Shanice, she just that woman. You can't dismiss the fact that she have her challenges too, and you're not making it easier. And Jeffy in his interview, he's like, opening up sounded easier than it actually is. And I'm like, yeah, I can understand that, because being intimate and being transparent and being open, it's more than a notion, particularly if you haven't had any relationships and you haven't had any practice doing it, Mr. Jeffy. I guess he was like, yeah, I'm gonna open up and get married. And now he like, what? I gotta open up? I gotta get naked? So the hard parts for her are me being close. He says, it's hard for him this opening up, but he knows that the hard parts for her in this marriage and this relationship is him being so closed and calculated and, insecure and nervous and cautious and all of that. So Shanice is like, she doesn't want the phone swap or the lack of the phone swap to be the end of her marriage. And she says she's got to choose her battles, and she starts crying. Like I just feel like she is really in it. She is like a lovely young woman. We're just, and I went back and watched the match special, because somebody told me that they had matched her up with the other guy. The two white women had matched her up with the other guy. And then Pastor Cal was like, hold on. This other guy is only interested in racially Latinas or whatever. And so that's not going to be a good match for her. We're going to set her up for failure. And then it was just like somebody had told me that they had just like thrown Jeffy in the mix. Now, I didn't exactly get that impression, but they might have known he don't really have enough experience in relationships to be getting married, or it's going to make a challenge. So anyway, they're laughing about how broken she looked. Jeffy and Shanice, they're kind of talking. He like, you just look really broken. You just look, and they laughing and stuff. I didn't really think it was funny. I'm like, so it's funny that her feelings were hurt, but that's good that they're vibing, they're connecting, that she felt comfortable, and she wasn't offended. He said she just looked at him and he knew that she was definitely going to leave him. And then we see the boys' night out. This is the corollary to last episode. We had the girls' night out. So now we're having the boys' night out. And Jeffy is like, he is not going to be forced. Now, he's been telling us this all along. If you back him into a corner, then, he going to curl up and be quiet. But, he let us know he don't want to be backed into no corners. So he's saying he's not going to be forced or be uncomfortable. And Ryan is like, yeah, that's right. And Pastor Cal was like, now hold up. Now, if you marry, you are going to be uncomfortable. That's the nature of marriage and relationships, bruh. Little bruh. Now, come on now. So you are going to be uncomfortable. And then Pastor Cal is like, as men, I need y'all to set up some marriage goals, and start talking to your partners about, what the goals are for 3 years, 5 years, 6 months, 10 years. You got to have a goal for your relationship. So I want y'all to start talking about what your vision is, where you see things going. Ryan lets us know that he's upset because Jackie might have a gypsy soul. I'm rolling my eyes. It's probably too dark for you to see that, but I'm rolling my eyes at Mr. Ryan and his upsetness about this child's gypsy soul. Mr. Ryan. Now, okay, so he says he's concerned that she might have a gypsy soul, and then, what's going to happen? We're going to have kids, and I'm not feeling Ryan. I don't like how he treats his wife. He comes off as selfish. Right, he come off to me as, and I had said this, and my mother was like, no. He comes off to me as he just wanted to, keep living his life. He didn't really have any concept of changing his life to accommodate a wife. So I'm like, well, why would you get married? And it's like he just wanted to live his life and then plug in a wife who's like a whole nother person with needs and feelings and stuff, but he doesn't really see, he just want to do him. But she said that he would, if he just wanted to have booty calls, he wouldn't have gotten married. He would have just had booty calls. But I'm like, maybe he wanted to be on TV because he ain't act. But we got to give him time to process. He probably gonna get it together. We rooting for him too. So anyway, he's upset, because he thinks in 5 years, she's going to want to leave, and he's going to have the kids and the mortgage, and her gypsy soul is going to cause her to want to go off and travel and just abandon her family. And I'm like, did she say that to you? Roll the footage. I need to see her saying that, because she don't even strike me as that type. That don't even seem legit, And Pastor Cal was like, well, you're crossing the bridge before you get there. And Ryan is like, well, I just, I can't plan. Pastor Cal was like, shoot, y'all could maybe plan to do a month vacation, or, y'all can plan stuff. You can make it work for both of you. And Ryan is like, oh no, I can't plan for a 4-week vacation. I have to do what's best for my family. I just can't stop, won't stop. It's not okay for me. I can't stop working my 2 jobs. I can't stop, playing paintball on 2 different teams. I can't stop hanging out all night and all day with my friends. And, I can't do this for a gypsy. He rubbed me the wrong way this time. And then, I'm trying to see. And then he says it's not okay. Okay, so we talked about that in Pastor Calvin is like, Ryan is basically self-sabotaging. He's freaking out because decision day is upon him, and he trying to, everything Ryan says is I'll never we. Yeah, we gotta, offer the hands of prayer for old Ryan. So Pastor Cal is like, he's self-sabotaging. He's being passive-aggressive. It's his way of getting out of the marriage without directly dealing with the fact that he's afraid of being in the marriage once the experiment is over. So I said we need footage here. We talked about that. Pastor Cal is like, dude, in 5 weeks, you're 5 weeks in and you're worrying about something that might happen 5 years from now. Submit to your wife, chill, relax yourself. And Jeff D is like, yeah, it's okay to submit to your wife. I mean, just submit to your wife. Don't be out here submitting to everybody, but it's okay to submit to your wife. And Ryan is like, I've never done that. And Calvin is like, well, how's that working for you? And Ryan, it's a key to marital success. We got to be willing to work with each other. And Ryan is like, well, cheers. And I knew then, I'm like, he not really dealing with the issue. He just like, well, let's drink and smile and hee and not deal with what's really going on. Y'all, this is where you're supposed to deal with what's really going on. And Pastor Cal is like, I don't think that everyone is getting it. I think that Jeff D and John are. So yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't think homeboy is getting it. Then we see Jackie, and she's sick, and she says that he came back from his boys' night out, and then he was in a bad mood, and then she asked him to stay with her hey Andres, she asked him to stay with her even though he was in a bad mood because she's sickly and she wanted his comfort, his company, janky company, but she wanted it. So and he went on and left and hung out with his friend or his friends. And now I need to know, I'm like, well, what is the story with his friends? Does he have a cadre of like 5 or 10 people who are his friends who are like, dang, y'all, you spending a lot of time with us, you not spending time with your wife? What's up, Ryan? Or does he have like 40 different friends who don't know each other, so he is a hot mess, so he could just go out, and see a different friend every night and nobody would even know that he's not spending time with his wife? I need to understand what's going on with his friends, because somebody in his friendship group needs to be asking him some questions and like letting them know what's going on. This is not looking good. Okay, so we talk about that. Then we see Jeff D and Shanice, and she is like, where do you see us in 5 years? And Jeff D is like, I don't know. I don't particularly care for. This is the second time they've been asked that question, and Jeff D's like, I don't know. I'm like, don't you have some thoughts, some ideas, some opinions? I like, I don't know. But Shanice is like, oh well, in 5 years, I see us. He says, well, what about you? And Shanice is like, well, traveling, to Paris. And Jeff D is like, yeah, and with kids. And then in the interview, he says that he would like to have 6 kids by now. But seeing how his parents really struggled with 10 kids, he would probably like to have 5. And then he wants to have them in private school and playing football. And, they both agree to travel before the kids. And, they go in the house laughing and happy. So he'll be 28 and she'll be 32 once they get to the point in their 5-year plan. So they're both happy about it. So that's good. They like it. I love it, especially with them. I'm rooting for them. Then we see Ryan and Jackie. And Jackie is like, so last night, Ryan made me upset to the point where I don't think that we'll be able to bounce back. And then to him, she's like, I know we respect each other, but sometimes I just don't feel like you respect me. I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. and I'm not feeling good, and I wanted you to be here. And he's like, you know, I felt stressed about what happened with the fellas, and so I had to go and hang out with my friends. And then he talks to her about this whole gypsy soul thing, and she's like, you know, I'm concerned that you would leave me and the kids, you know, for 6 weeks. And Jackie is like, I would never leave my children for 6 weeks. You know, I want to travel before we have kids. See the power of communication and conversation. Then the older white woman doctor, I can't remember her name, but she says that he's scared about decision day, so she co-signs Pastor Calvin, and he should admit that. And Jackie is like, you know, I'm concerned about this pattern that you have of leaving, you know, when I need you. And if you need just so much slack, maybe you need so much slack that marriage isn't really the right move for you, you know, like, because a marriage is a whole different type of relationship from just slack and full freedom. And you know, what you want to do, you know, maybe you don't want to be married. And Ryan is like, I want to do what I do, you know, you can't judge me. And Jackie is like, well, I can, as it relates to marriage. And Ryan is like, well, it's unproductive. This is unproductive. You're arguing with me, you know, just to argue. And I think sometimes, like, his arguments or the conversation that he's having with Jackie, I'm like, I don't really think it pertains to her, at least the way we see it edited. Like, she don't seem like she's arguing just to be arguing. She seems like she's trying to communicate with him. I need to bring a lamp over here next time, not right now, because, you know, we just gone too far. And so anyway, they go back and forth a little bit. And Jackie is like, last night is not marriage. You know, it's not a relationship. It's just toxic what happened. And Pastor Cal says, you know, you can't be off with the boys. And, you know, he's saying in his interview, you can't be off with the boys and married at the same time, too. You know, you got to make a choice. You know, are you going to be with the boys or are you going to be married? You got to put your marriage before your boys. You know, that's what you got to do. And then Ryan talking to he says he's going to take Pastor Cal's advice. And, you know, so he's going to take the L. And I don't really think it's an L. If you want to be married, it's just, you know, you got to reform some things and reformulate some things. I don't even think it's about, like, thinking of it as like a loss or like, you know, it's just grow up, boy. Grow up, young man. Grow up, sir. Okay, so then he's going to take the L, and then he says, okay, I'm going to change, and then they snuggle cuddle. Now, Jackie seemed happy. You know, again, we're seeing so little of what's going on that it's really hard to evaluate. The way it was edited, in my personality, I was not feeling that whole thing at all. I was not feeling the resolution. I was not feeling resolved. Jackie seemed to be feeling resolved. She seems to be alert to what's going on, so hopefully she'll take all of this into account as she's making the decision. But I was just kind of like, ew, Ryan, I'm not feeling it for you. And then we see John and Molly arriving, and Shanice is like, hey, and she's like, come on, you know, and she says that she got the couples together for couples time, and it's so important. And then Ryan and Jackie arrive. John was in the army. He should have something about traveling. John was in the army. Yeah, I don't even remember. Did I not get their goals? John and Molly? I might have missed that. But anyway, this is like the couples night out that Shanice has arranged. And it's something called Revolution Trapeze. And then, so Shanice is going up the trapeze. She like the first person up. And I'm laughing because Jeffy is like, I'm scared of heights. And I'm like, surprise, surprise, Jeffy is scared of something else. But anyway, y'all, Jeffy is scared of heights. Shanice all up in the thing, flipping and flopping and, you know, doing her thing. And Jeffy is sitting down there like, I see nets at the bottom, but I don't see nets on the right, on the left, in the front, and in the back. So it don't look safe to me. It don't look sturdy. This is not a good plan. But anyway, you know, because Shanice goes up there and she survives, and she is flying until she falls on the nets. Jeffy is like, well, I feel like I should, you know, I have to go next since she went first. So Shanice is kind of surprised and pleasantly surprised that he's gone, because she knows that he's afraid of heights. But he goes on up there, and everybody ends up going up there. You know, everybody ends up going, you know, on the trapeze and having fun and everything. And Jeffy, you know, we see that he, you know, he goes up there and, you know, there's a big commercial because when he gets up there, it's like, is he going to go or is he going to be like, no, I'm not doing it. But he goes ahead and he does it and he jumps. And I think that just like the marriage and jumping into things that he's afraid of, I think it's going to really bless him. Twitter was saying that Ryan's an alcoholic. Oh, now that would make kind of sense. There's something with how he, you know, yeah, I need to go check on, I need to, yeah. But anyway, so that's basically the end of the episode. And we're well past the end of the light. So I'm going to jump off, but thank you all so much for being here, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all of those other good things. Today is the best day ever. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace.